However, my values don't align with both parties fully, so I don't feel like I can run under that endorsement, at least not now, unless, maybe in the future, conversations, who knows. But currently, I just don't align myself with a GOP that doesn't present a candidate that actually has conservative values, and I don't align with the Democratic Party that I feel isn't a true fiduciary of the people, particularly in Illinois, and it's more about profiteering and really using their position to benefit themselves.
That was Illinois GOP gubernatorial candidate Joseph SeveRINO sounding, well, maybe a little confused as to what party he belongs to, and a little bit ambivalent about his entire run for the Illinois governor's job. It gets stranger, though. That's because it turns out SeveRINO has ties to the Black Lives Matter movement that tore this country asunder in 2020 and continues ginning up racial hatreds for political and financial gain. In a series of horrific texts he sent to our next guest, and Illinois GOP grassroots activist Terry Newsome, SeveRINO tells Terry that he's not planning to win at all. He's just planning to demolish the Illinois GOP, taking down hardworking, well-meaning grassroots activists like Terry Newsome along the way. In response to that nasty text, Newsome replied by giving SeveRINO an almost Trumpian nickname, SeveRINO, but it got nastier. SeveRINO went on to attack Newsome's hair plugs, which he got after going bald from cancer treatments, sadly. And then because Newsome refused to support SeveRINO's bid for Illinois governor, SeveRINO, as Terry calls him, chose to try to get Newsome fired from his job, making us all wonder, is the Illinois GOP being led by secret Democrats, or have they just all lost their minds? I'm now joined by Terry Newsome, the target of his attacks. He's going to tell us who SeveRINO really is. We'll be honest, sometimes as Republicans, we don't pay a lot of attention to Illinois politics because it surrounds Democrats or the inner workings. But it doesn't seem like the Illinois GOP is in particularly healthy condition at the moment, Terry.
Yeah, everyone knows the Illinois GOP is really a joke. Our leadership is awful. They don't have the courage to lead. They're mostly rhinos. They're all rhinos. In last election cycle, Pritzker and the Democrats pumped $30 million into our gubernatorial primary race to get the weakest candidate to win, to make it easier for Pritzker. And so they're absolutely involved again. SeveRINO is, he ran once as a Republican, then he tried to run as a Democratic congressman, and then in the primary, but they found out he voted Republican. Then he just ran as an independent, where he got point percent of the vote. He got 200 votes, right? And so now he wants to run as a Republican. And as you saw, he said he's going to cancel anyone that doesn't support and endorse him. That's the only thing that he has against me. I never had any beefs or fights outside of not wanting to endorse him. Then he called me after he said he was going to cancel everyone. He said, I'm going for your jugular. I'm going for everyone. He knows I had the cancer treatments. That picture that you showed, he sent that to me. He called me after he sent me that picture. He said, I'm going to post this picture unless you endorse me. I sent him that picture. So, by the way, I had the same doctor that did Matthew McConaughey's, and he said,
"Well, I was going to say you're kind of blessed that you live in Chicago. That's one of the few places in the United States where you can get a really good treatment like that. I'm not making light of the situation, but at least there was that small blessing."
Yeah, that's why I look like Elvis. Thank you, Doc. But
you look great.
It's a joke. I don't look like Elvis.
It's a commercial.
Yeah, he was extorting. He's using extortion, right? Not a financial mob extortion. He's using harassment. He's going after other people's jobs. He's using extortion, and it's not about winning, as he said in his own words. He's also working with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Remember Jeff Tischler? I think you did a story on him. He threatened to write stories and publish them in Southern Poverty Law Center. Black Lives Matter. He didn't vote for Trump the first time. He's not a Republican. It's a joke. And I asked Kathy Salvi, the head of the Illinois GOP Republican Party, she's the chairman. I said, you need to denounce him and separate him for the reputation of our party. Not just Terry. He has a hit list of over a dozen people that refuse to endorse him. And he's going out and trying to destroy him. He's not running any fundraisers. He's not doing anything. There's been other people that filed in different counties over the weekend. There's another gentleman that has a $50,000 defamation against SeveRINO courts next week for the exact same thing he did to me.
Well, here is a national trend. I don't, know Mr. SeveRINO outside of, your experiences, but what I have noticed is a national trend that we've had a major problem with for years, if not decades, is the infiltration of the Republican Party by, so-called Republicans. I don't even, you can't even call them rhinos. They really are Democrats that are looking to run and deceive the base. Now that is a national trend that happens. We've noticed it a lot in places like North Carolina. I get lots of complaints from people they believe actually have sympathies with the groups you mentioned, BLM, Antifa, and they found a way to pose as Republicans and actually win on the ticket. We've had a lot of problems with that. How does the Chicago GOP work its way out of a mess like this? How do you actually get true conservatives in Chicago? Because I'll be honest, we're told time and time again that Chicago and Illinois is a lost cause for conservatives. That it's never going to happen. Can it happen, Terry? Can you actually get true Constitution-loving, America First people in office there?
Yeah, so Chicago and then Illinois are two separate issues, right? I mean, both are infected rhinoism, but Chicago's really bad. You pretty much have to be a Democrat to do anything in the city of Chicago, right? And we have just here's what happened is we have no money. In the marriage between grassroots and the Republican Party, the GOP, they're supposed to bring money and power to our marriage, right? We're supposed to bring people and passion, right? The grassroots. The Illinois GOP has no money, no power, nothing. But when they do raise a little bit of money, they raise them for their own establishment people, and they use them in the primaries to fight against people that are hardcore grassroots. And then they get endorsements and money from the Democratic unions. Our Senate Minority Leader, John Curran, is getting all this money from labor unions. Our daughters were on the same volleyball team. I begged them to help me with the porn that you're familiar with. He refused. He goes, Tara, if I get involved, it'll be a political distraction. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, they want porn. We don't want it. You need a help. I found out the guy's getting all this money from the teachers union. So until we get rid of our leaders, till we have someone like Kathy Salvi, who I beg to denounce him for the party, not just me personally, she's saying nothing. She's silent. She has no spine. She needs to denounce and distance this guy. He's not a Republican. And until we have leadership that's going to motivate, excite, and get people to want to vote for us, they keep talking about, mail-in, we're behind the mail-in ballots. I tell these clowns, I said, you know what? Mail-in ballots, they're important, but you know what? You got to give them a reason to vote. It doesn't mean if it's mail-in, early voting, day of. You got to give them a reason to vote in any channel they want. And you're not. You guys are supporting rhinos that don't even represent us, so people don't vote.
Yeah, I've seen this in other places too. Other stronghold cities or states that is believed to be just a Democratic stronghold that can never change. It's not fair. It's not fair to people like you, Terry, who want more, right? You want a fair chance. You want to fight at the grassroots level and help conservatives win. And you continue to do that. And you've been attacked. This is not the first attack on you, Terry, as we all know. So thanks for staying strong and keeping with it, because I also just know, you're always you come on here, you're so brave, but I know how hard it is. And I know that you don't even share a lot of what you go through. So Terry Newsome, I feel like today is a show of fighters. This is great. We have people willing to fight for our country, to not let their voice be silenced. And you're one of those people, Terry Newsome, and you're a good friend of the show. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Emerald. Appreciate it.
Don't call it a riot. It's a counterinsurgency. And J. Michael Waller explains why after the break.